Former Tourism Minister Derek Hanekom appointed interim chair of SAA, with his predecessor John Lamola staying on as interim CEO and director. This arrangement is expected to remain in place until global consortium SAA strategic equity partner Takatso, which is poised to garner a 51% stake in the airline, if the deal goes ahead, if they manage to get its ducks in a row. Let's talk now to the new interim SAA chair, Derek Hanekom. Good evening to you and welcome to the program. It is a tough assignment. Take us behind the scenes of your appointment. How did it unfold?
Well, a very good evening to you and all the viewers. I guess it is a tough consignment. I didn't think it was going to be an easy one, but just to give you some sense of what it is, this is an interim board in the sense that it's a board that has to function, obviously doing everything that boards need to do until such time as the deal that has been struck with Takatso consortium, until that comes through. And, that's expected to take a few months. But as soon as that comes through, the life of this board comes to an end. Why did I accept this offer, this appointment? Simply because I think it is a big challenge. I really believe in SAA and that we are able to get it back to where it was before. It's going to be a long road, but it is on the road to recovery as we speak. So, it comes with an incredible past, an incredible reputation. And I think it's up to us to expand it now and let it grow and to get it back to where it was before.
All right, we might circle back if there's time on that, Derek, but you would have heard NUMSA deeply suspicious. It was done in secret. You talked about being offered the role. There's also the criticism that the minister didn't account to Scopa, Parliament, the ANC or anyone. How do you respond to that? How did this offer come to you?
Well, as with all board members, the board is appointed by the Minister of Public Enterprises. And, the process leading up to the appointment of a board is not really our business. And I don't even know what happens behind the scenes or what happened. I do know what generally happens. But the fact is that the Minister Praveen Gordhan, made the decision to appoint this board, and what processes he went through, I really don't know. As far as the NUMSA statement is concerned, I've heard that there was a statement. I haven't read it. I've heard some other things that have been said. So there is a kind of a negative narrative, which is perhaps understandable, but some of it is just based on completely false assumptions and false information. So the notion that this board was appointed in order to cover up any wrongdoing of the past is completely wrong. If there's any such idea, or if anyone had that in mind, then my appointment was a wrong appointment, because there's no ways that I will cover up anything. And it isn't even our job to deal with what happened in the past. Our job is to, as accounting authority, as board, is to deal with the current challenges and do everything that is required of a board. So all I can say is that the board, the existing board, it's a small board with possibly just a short duration life, is a board of people with integrity, and I have confidence in fellow board members. And we're going to carry out our duties in terms of the PFMA Companies Act and all other requirements. We'll carry these out diligently. I can speak for myself. I'm going to put my all into it because it requires, obviously, there are many, many issues that still need to be addressed. Once an institution or a company or state-owned entity in this case is damaged, it's not an overnight process. Fixing the damage, it does not happen overnight. Right. But there is good news, and the good news is that it's getting back to profitability. Okay. So the last financial year seems like it went very well.
Yeah, I'm going to invite both of us to put our tackies on now, because there's so much I want to get through before I let you go, and I've only got a few minutes left, Derek. So you talked about, transparency and playing open cards with how you turn this around. And in that spirit, I'm going to ask you to comment on the allegations made by the suspended Public Enterprises DG, and you would have read this in the weekend press, that the assets belonging to SAA were undervalued by, and you would have seen the figure, 7 billion rand or so. A new board is being installed to approve an irregular transaction. How are you going to look into that one?
Well, the new board is not going to approve any irregular transaction. Let me assure you of that for a start. I have had a meeting. I had a longish meeting with the CEO today, and the first proper board meeting will happen tomorrow. But in terms of the sort of undervalued assets, the CEO briefed me on that, and I'm told that a process of doing a new valuation of all of the assets has begun, including an inventory of the assets that are not only in South Africa but in other countries. So clearly there have been, perhaps irregularities, and that this will only be one of them. And these will need to be attended to. So we as a board would like to have firstly, the complete inventory of all of the assets wherever they may be. Secondly, we want proper valuations done, and that process has started. And then thirdly, we will take our responsibility of looking after the assets of the organization and the finances of the organization as required by the PFMA. We'll take that very seriously.
If there's time, I'll go back to the audit. But given that that Takatso, this deal needs money because it doesn't want to carry the historic debt of SAA, when is it likely to be finalized? Because that also impacts how long you stay in the chair.
Yeah, well, we'll stay in the chair. The letter of appointment said that we are appointed until such time as the deal is concluded. I can't really at this stage say how long that might take, but the indications are that it's a matter of months. But for the moment, we're not sitting back waiting for this deal to be concluded. We're continuing because, otherwise, if anything goes wrong, then we haven't done the things that you need to do to bring SAA back onto a solid footing. So we're not, to excuse the pun, but we're not grounded. We're moving. So already SAA is flying to 10 destinations on the African continent, and there are plans to resume some of the international flights. But each of these will have to be examined very carefully. We certainly don't want to, commit ourselves to any international flight that is a loss-making route. Not at this stage, anyway.
Right.
You can sustain as a national carrier loss-making routes temporarily if the prospects of turning it around into a profit-making route in future lies there. But we can't afford to do that now. The situation of SAA is too precarious. Okay. So at this stage, we have to operate quite carefully. I know your time is running out, but I just have to end by saying, I am really confident that we can turn this airline around. It could be done with its share equity partner, but even in the absence of the share equity partner, we're beginning the process.
In 20 seconds then, so I'm challenging you. Outstanding audits, SAA's financials remain in question. We saw the pressure from Scopa. They haven't had an audit, I think, in about 4 to 5 years. It was supposed to have been done by last month already. When is that audit going to be finalized and those financials handed over to the AG?
Well, okay, and apart from anything else, we'll have our first board meeting tomorrow, and committees will be appointed tomorrow, including chairs of committees. And I will meet with the AG myself with the chair of the audit committee. It won't be at all surprising, it's not at all surprising that the audits for earlier years were not good, including, as I'm told, the year 21-22. Obviously, 22-23 has not yet been audited. The finances are not yet ready, but by August it will be. And I certainly hope that 22-23 will be a lot better than the previous years. All right. Then our challenge is to make sure that future audits are favorable and that we manage the finances properly so that we don't have unfavorable audits, if you like, qualified audits or even disclaimers. By the way, it's not only SAA, it's also its subsidiaries, Air Chefs and SAA Technical and Mango.
Derek Hanekom, thank you for popping by. I appreciate your time and sharing with us what the next few months for SAA looks like. The new interim SAA chair there, Derek Hanekom.